Hey guys, so in this video, I'm going to break down how to write the perfect YouTube script, right? When I talk about perfect, this is best for anyone that is trying to sell something from YouTube. And this is just a stupid, simple structure that you can pretty much copy and paste for any type of video you're going to make and just see great results with. Now, a few prerequisites for this to actually be effective for you. First thing is aligned messaging. Within your script, when you're actually writing the copy for this, it should be aligned with your ICP. That sounds pretty self-explanatory, but a lot of people get this wrong. They either make the language too complex or too simple. So understanding the segment of the market you're speaking to is really important. Sometimes you're going to be speaking to like a more introductory level, so you can label it as introductory, and then there's going to be more advanced, right? You can kind of think about it as like introductory, intermediate, or advanced, and oftentimes that aligns with top of funnel, middle of funnel, bottom of funnel. And so this is what you want to think about with number one. And if you don't get that right, none of this is going to work. The second follow-up to that is correct packaging, right? So again, sounds self-explanatory, but if you can't properly market the idea, no one's going to see the video. No one's even going to make it through the script. So it doesn't matter how good the script is. And then number three is sufficient proof, right? If we're going to make claims, if we're going to challenge beliefs in the market, you need to have sufficient proof. So this can be the actual proof itself, but oftentimes what it actually comes down to is having like tangible screenshots or visible proof of the thing. We work with a lot of clients in the trading niche, and we find that people in the comments all the time, anytime we don't or omit a screenshot that probably should have been included, people in the comments are like, oh, like I need to see proof of this person making $2.1 million trading, right? So make sure not only do you have sufficient proof and that you're an actual expert who's coming to YouTube with this information, but also do you have proof of it? And if so, how can you most effectively show it in the videos? Now, once your bases are covered with this, let's kind of break this down. So we got the intro, the body, and the outro. Let's start with the intro. The first part of the intro you can think of in an effective format that will consistently perform for all of our clients is challenging or disproving a belief, right? So let's use an example. Let's say we're talking about like wholesale real estate, for example, right? Most people think you need to pay for lists. And oftentimes what we found from our experiences are actually not good. So today I'm going to be breaking down a method that's actually more effective at pulling leads that are good and not cooked for $0, right? So we're challenging a belief, and this is where market research really comes into play, a belief that exists within the market, and we're going and challenging and disproving that. Now, obviously we can't go and do that with no foundation and just make crazy claims. We got to go and substantiate that. And so as you remember, that's why sufficient proof is a prerequisite. We need to go and substantiate that claim. So that's actually saying it in the script, that's having a screenshot. My partner and I, we built a $1 million a year wholesale real estate business by the age of 25. And, just this month, we've done this much in profit. And most of it was done through the method we're about to teach you in this video. It actually adds substance because anyone can say stuff on YouTube. Anyone can copy and paste scripts. What's even more important than what you're saying is the context you're saying it from. So making sure you're coming from a context of some level of superiority over your audience in the sense that like you've actually accomplished things that are outlier results. If not, it's going to be hard to actually go and make people care about that, because this provides the necessary context that actually makes this believable and keeps people into the body of the video, which we can kind of break down here real quick. The start of the body is really, we want to introduce that USP, right? So we kind of hinted at it in the beginning of the video, like, oh, there's this new strategy, there's a new way of doing things through a personal story, because that's always going to be most effective. And a lot of people are going to be able to see themselves through your story, and you need to do that, and you need to go and portray that. So an example here would be like, look, for the first 2 or 3 years of real estate, I was using this method of going in, sourcing leads, but we were running into these 3 issues, right? And by listing off those issues and being hyper specific with the problems you can face, people are going to start to say, yeah, I see myself going through the exact same thing. I feel like I'm in that challenge stage right now. And then you're going to transition to why it works, right? Why it's different. Well, then we actually go in and tried this. And then next thing we knew, we started getting these results, right? We tried this, but we kept running into the same issue. And this new X, Y, and Z didn't have all these issues and had all these upsides, right? Now we're going and hinting at the solution and why it actually works. And because we're telling it through the lens of a story, it just kind of seems like you're doing it through the lens of an observer, not like somebody who's going and showing the strategy on them, but somebody who's just tried a bunch of stuff, that's had the experience, that's been in the field, and you're kind of reporting back to them and synthesizing that information so they don't have to go through the 3 years of trial and error. And how to implement, well, now that you guys know what it is and why it works, And now that you're, because before you tell them what to do, they have to actually believe it works. Otherwise, like, they're not going to be motivated to take the steps. So then you can go into like, oh, here are like the 3 steps to go and implement this week or actually start doing this. Here's the strategy. I'm going to break it down step by step. Then you're going to go in how to implement. Very simple, break it into steps because people consume information easier that way. You really want to make it like a Lego instruction manual for people. That's the best analogy I can give. And really make sure there's no room for error. You really got to dummy proof everything you do, especially if you're talking to a biz op focused market. And then the outro, very simple. I kept it short, social proof and CTA. That's really all you need. You can kind of vary up how you describe coaching if that's what you're selling, like how you could describe it as like a hands-on thing, or it doesn't really matter. The point is you just can't sound like a grifter, and you need to provide maybe like 1 or 2 student testimonials if possible. And also like why it's different, right? Like, oh, this is where you can kind of differentiate. Most people do X, Y, and Z. We do A, B, and C. And on top of that, we have 1, 2, 3. So this doesn't really need to be crazy long. A lot of people deliberate way too much in their outros, and they'll go and like summarize everything that was said in the video. If they want to watch a summary of the video, they would just go rewatch the video, right? No need to do that. You don't need to go and deliberate. You don't need to go and rehash all the stuff in the body of the video or the intro. You can literally just kind of cut straight to the chase. This is where a lot of people's retention fall off, is they deliberate too much in the outro and they lose viewers at the end. You don't want to do that. You can be very, very snappy with it and just make sure the CTA is clear. Your CTA can either be directly to the link in the description, or if it's a more top of funnel video and you want to get people like binging more content before that, you go and urge them to book a call. You could also CTA to another video on your channel, like, oh, if you like this video, or like once you do this, that's great, but you're not going to be able to close a deal until you figure out how to go and negotiate terms of the deal. So go watch this video I made on negotiation and sales if you're at that next step, right? So you either point them to a video that's a logical next step after this video, a free course style video, which we do with all our clients, that works really well as almost like a stealth VSL where people are redirected to like a 2-hour course video, which then, kind of sells them on the program throughout the entire video. Or if you feel like you have the grounds to go in CTA, by all means, have a link in the description, CTA to that. But those are kind of the options when it comes to the outro. But pretty straightforward. This is really all you need, guys. Like, obviously, there's a ton of nuances with script writing that, you're going to learn over time. Or if you work with us, you'll realize it's not, that simple. But it's very straightforward, right? And this is a pretty repeatable and copy and paste format you can use with your scripts if you're not really seeing the results you want, or you're looking to get better results with YouTube. That's all I got for this video. If you guys want me to link this, let me know. But other than that, thanks for watching.